Good afternoon, good evening. I am Terri Wisdom, and this is Harlem Network News. And as many of you know, Harlem Network News, and if you don't know, Harlem Network News is a media platform. We started at the onset of COVID, and we are still here. We are dedicated to assuring that Harlem and the Harlems of the world and the world are informed, engaged, and called to action. And this is more important than ever at such a time as this. Um, in the spirit of culture, in the spirit of our history, today we are bringing to you a very, very special guest in the person of Baba Dr. Segun Shabaka of the International African Arts Festival, which is celebrating, I believe, 54 years. Before we get started, I really want to salute all of our ancestors for bringing us through. I want to pay homage. We have lost many, many, many great ancestors this year, but what the public icons that come to mind for me are Roberta Flack, our great minister of music, really, and our elder statesman, Congressman Charles B. Rangel of 46 years right here in Harlem. And we're asking that we be granted permission to move forward with this interview. I also want to salute some of our elders, which of course Baba Dr. Segun Shabaka is included. I want to thank Baba Bernardo Ruby, my partner, who really connected us to do these interviews with the International African Arts Festival. And of course, I want to salute you, Baba Segun and Brother Ruby, for connecting us to Dr. Maulana Karenga, the founder and creator of Kwanzaa, and of course, his wife and partner, Mother Sister Tiamu. I want to salute Baba Adeyemi because the past years I've been interviewing him of the festival. And I also want to salute my great friend and work partner of almost 50 years, and that's in the person of your production manager, Sandra M. Bell. So much to salute, and I definitely salute our youth for continuing and us passing the baton to them. I have a story that has to do with culture that happened with my granddaughter last night, but I had to think about it as we had a little extra time to come to this interview. One of the things that came to mind, because my granddaughter came from Southampton last night with her cousin and her friend, or yesterday afternoon, and they live on the Shinnecock Reservation. And she came to get her hair done. And, you know, my partner was like, it's whatever time, hair got finished at 11 o'clock. I'm, driving her down to Penn Station. But I had to rethink this because I was good with it. But I had to think that when I was 16, I remember coming on the train from Queens at 9 o'clock in the morning to get my first afro with Black Rose in Harlem. And I didn't get finished getting my hair done till 10 o'clock at night. And when you're 16, I even missed the party because I was busy trying to get my first afro. And
Mm.
that has connected me. Uh, we have a deep connection with the Grandassa models, really the Black is Beautiful people, and Black Rose is part of that. So, I'm grateful as we pass that baton for culture because it's very, very important. And I just also want to salute my children, all my grandchildren, all of our children, because they matter and they're important. And I want to salute my son, Ali Sam Wayman Wisdom, who is an ancestor who was shot and killed 3.5 years ago. So we have a lot to unpack. But Baba Segun, Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Sister
Very
Terry.
important, very important. And please just let us know who you are and whose you are, and your connection to this great and iconic cultural institution. Was it is now called the International African Arts Festival, and most of us just call it festival. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you. Again, Sante Sana, thank you very much for having me, Sister Terry, and warm greetings to my good friend, comrade, brother, Bernardo Ruby,
All
who
right,
I've
all right.
probably known about 55 years or
Okay.
so, going back to the East, and brother uh, Ruby was living in Africa, and we used to uh, call his entrepreneurship the brother with the bird material, because he had
Okay.
African prints with birds, all kind of birds. So
Okay.
it
That
was like some great entrepreneurship in the 70s he was doing in trading and uh, bringing in products from Africa, import, export. So, we go way back. And it's always good to see and hear from him, knowing that he's doing well. So again, my name is Dr. Segun Shabaka.
shaking. Okay, let me get
I
it right.
am the board chair of the International African Arts Festival. I was involved in the festival by way of being a teacher, or first a volunteer, then a teacher at Ahudu Sasa Shule, the educational wing of the festival, uh, under the umbrella of the East Cultural and Educational Center for People of African Descent. And so I started in 1970 with the organization, and I worked the first festival in 1971 and have been involved in all the festivals since that festival. Uh, the last uh, 10 plus years, I've been the chair, but I've been administrating the festival for about the last 15 years since I retired from my job as a teacher with the New York City Department of Education. So I went from working full time uh, with the Board of Ed to working full time as a volunteer with this
Okay, I
festival.
hear you.
And I want to make that known
I hear you.
because that's an important endeavor that more of our community has to see and give. And that is volunteering for our community, working in our community, sometimes for pay, sometimes for no pay monetarily, but it's rewarding because we've given, most of us, 99% of us, we give our lives to working on these modern day plantations. And
Thank
we
you.
wonder why our community is not growing, developing, and flourishing, and our children are not flourishing. It's because we are putting all our energy into the system that was in place when we came out of the Holocaust of slavery, and that all it wants is our labor. And as they said when we were uh, coming out of the Holocaust of slavery, what they feared was free black people, free black men and women. And if you weren't an enslaved African, they didn't want you here. Literally, they wanted to deport us, and that's how the American Colonization Society, and that's why it came into being, and what its purpose was to get rid of free blacks. So black people have been
Wow,
in a struggle since we've been here, and we're still in a struggle. And some of
wow.
us are under the illusion that we are otherwise, and so we have to give to our community. And so my involvement with the festival is my giving back to my community, even though I've worked in my community all my life. from childhood when I used to shine shoes on Pickett Avenue in Brownsville,
Okay.
and working, uh, you know, at different institutions. 99% of them in the community. So the festival
Okay,
again.
I'm gonna interject just quickly. Hold that thought, because you brought up some very important points. For those of you who are just joining, I'm Terri Wisdom. This is Harlem Network News, and I'm here with Baba Segun Shabaka of the International African Arts Festival. And you raised a point about the modern day enslavement of working and the importance of and I'll take it further, of our own institutions and putting energy into our own institutions. But you raised a very critical point that if we were not enslaved, they didn't want us here. And the American Colonization Society literally took the freed people back to Africa and just dropped them off. And that's how we got the country of Liberia, which is actually a country that brother Baba Ruby, Bernardo Ruby, spent 10 years in
Uh-huh.
Liberia. And we have a very important mural, the Liberian mural, that was in Harlem Hospital for 7 years until they changed hands. And the person who took over, and this is for health and hospitals, who was not, she was white, is from the South. And as soon as she took over as the head of arts, she was like, this got to go, because it really tells the story of what you're speaking about. It was at the Harlem Fine Arts Show, and we're looking for a home for this mural that tells our story, because that's a critical piece. We're talking to the Urban League about putting it in there. The Studio Museum has just come up, but as you said that, I'm like, okay, I got to say something, because this is a part of the story. So
Uh,
hold the thought. Go talk about the International African Arts Festival. Thank
well, you done added another layer here because my dissertation is on the African American migration to Haiti, 1824 to 1825. And
you.
I cover Liberia and Sierra Leone because those were projects set up by white people to get rid of black people in this country in the case of Liberia, and black people in England in the case of Sierra Leone. And
Wow.
so those were uh, displacements of free blacks. Uh, of course, Sierra Leone slightly different, but Liberia is, was like they feared and they didn't want us here if we weren't enslaved Africans. So uh,
The
the
migration to Haiti.
to Haiti and Dominican Republic,
Wow. And that was a
1824
migration.
to 1825. It was led by black people. Black people, people like Richard Allen of the AME Church. He sent his sons there on
Oh,
that. So, and you still have today uh, communities in Liberia, I'm sorry, not Liberia, in Dominican Republic, because Haiti had
mm,
freed both the whole island, and that was the time they wanted blacks to come and help shore up their struggle, and
wow.
blacks wanted to go and shore up that struggle, and so they settled there. But today you can still find the AME Church in parts of Dominican Republic. I haven't been to Haiti enough to find them there, but you
Wow.
have the AME Church in the area, particularly of Samana, and you have families from those communities that still travel between the U.S. and that community in Samana, Dominican Republic, and you have uh, those families. I've been and interacted with them. One is from Harlem and another one from Long Island that are doing and working with those communities, and blood relationships in those communities. So What we have to do again is dig into our own history and culture and do the research to understand how connected we are. So when you have what's going on with Haiti and DR and black people being persecuted in Haiti. Haiti was a refuge for us in the early 1800s after it gained its independence. It opened up to black people for us to go there, and black people went there. So let me
Wow.
give you some numbers here. In 8 months, from 1824 to 1825, anywhere between 13,000 black people went to Haiti and Dominican Republic.
Okay.
Boyer was the president then, and he opened up the country. But it was started with Dessalines had the vision, and you had Prince Saunders, who worked with people here and made it possible to make those links. And so, in 8 months, again, 6 to 13,000 black people went to Haiti. That's in that just 1 month period. There are others that went under other large numbers by the thousands
Wow.
in the decades after. But to do the comparison, in from 1820
Hmm.
to 1900, 13,000 blacks went to, I mean, a little over 15,000 went to Liberia. So
Okay.
you see the numbers are
Wow.
almost equal.
Wow.
One is 8 months and one is 80 years.
Wow.
Okay?
Wow. So, I mean, there's so much about our history that we don't know. And I'm just saying, as I sit here and you're saying this, I'm really getting chills because you're
Yeah.
saying something, I mean, I've studied, I took Black studies, I move around, I communicate with people, but
Uh-huh.
I didn't know this. And
Yeah.
it's very, very critical, especially since here in Harlem, we got a large Dominican population. We got a
Mhm.
large Dominican population. And sometimes, which is also a whole nother thing, that, there's been a whole thing, oh, Dominican, am I black? Or, the separation with Haiti and Dominican Republic when Haiti free, it was one place. So this is a serious, serious piece of information, in terms of our culture. And so
Yes.
we got to recognize that. And you heard it first on Harlem Network News. This is a great piece of our history. Thank you for doing that deep dive. And there are other deep dives. I don't want to veer off too much, but I have a friend who's an artist and was at Clark Atlanta, did their gallery, so on and so forth. And she's done research into Trinidad. Her mother is Trinidadian, her father is Jamaican, but there are people in Trinidad who were called Americos. And that's because in the War of 1812, they brought them out of Trinidad to fight the war. And then they gave the option to them after they fought the war, because they were good at sailing or whatever. They were given the option to go back to Trinidad or to go to Canada. Her family went back to Trinidad. So there's a lot. And then also the fact that there were more enslaved people dropped off in South America than North America. So we have a
Mhm.
lot to, and I don't know
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
numbers,
Yeah.
but thank you.
Well, Brazil is has the largest population of
Okay.
African people.
All right.
Um, and then they say it's Nigeria, Brazil, and then it's Brooklyn in terms of population.
Okay.
But anyway, all this is
That's the
festival because
festival.
the
Yes.
International African Arts Festival is a celebration of Pan African culture. And so all of these communities and cultures we celebrate at the festival. In fact, this year, many people are not aware of or have limited knowledge of the Garifuna community of Central America.
Okay.
And this year, we're doing a special uh, artistic tribute to one of its most popular and iconic artists who was killed in a plane crash, Aurelio Martinez. And
Oh,
so
wow.
some of his comrades and country people, other popular artists are going to come and pay tribute to him at the International African Arts Festival on Saturday. a special, very
Okay,
special performance will be
nice.
given. And some of the artists that are appearing are world famous Asiatic, Bodoma, who was his drummer, Felix Gamboa, Nino Arzu, Roy Martinez, Paula Castillo, and Chief Joseph Kataya, who will have his dance troupe paying tribute to
Oh,
Brother Martinez. So that's another community that we sleep, the
okay,
Garifuna
thank you
community.
for raising that,
Yeah.
because that was gonna be my question, because I always want everybody to really understand what we're talking about. Yeah,
Yes. So this is a Central American community, and they have retained a lot of their African culture in that community. Um, Also, we have Bongi Duma from South Africa, and also one of the stars of Lion King. We have the Wazumbians from Ghana. We
wow,
have Soul Science Lab, a Brooklyn group, playing funk, Afro beat,
okay,
all
I
of it,
love it.
jazz.
Yes, yes, I'm
Uh,
ready.
we have Kosh from Haiti. We have John Medicine, again from Brooklyn, Bed-Stuy. And we have Southside Funk R&B from Queens. So those are some of the artists that will appear. And again, as usual, we close out every night with African Dance Troupe. So but this is our lineup, and the festival takes place from Friday, July 4th through Sunday, July 6th. And you know, we start at 10 in the morning and we go till 9 p.m. at night. And people can, even though the event is free, we ask people to still buy rapid entry tickets in advance at
Important,
our website. It should be up by the time this is. And
great.
that website is www.iaafestival.org. www.iaafestival.org. And support us so we can continue to support you. We are a family friendly event. Uh, there's activities for the children all day, and there's nothing on the stage that you got to cover their eyes and ears. Everything is family friendly, and if it comes on our stage, it gets pulled off if it's not. So people can come out, multiple, I should say, multiple generations can come together and celebrate the festival, and they do.
Okay, it's a beautiful thing. I'm Terri Wisdom. This is Harlem Network News, and I am here with Baba Segun Shabaka, and obviously he's got a body of knowledge. He is a body of knowledge. So we're on festival, but all roads meet at
Mhm.
festival. All cultural roads meet. If you could tell us, Baba Segun, a little bit about, briefly, a little bit about the history of festival, because it started at the East, and I know I had the honor to be at, some of the early festivals. I was a college student. I was there. I remember my daughter was a year old. I'd bring her to festival, and we continued that tradition. And I just also want to salute some of the giants of festival that I was connected to, Baba MZ, Baba G2 Weusi, and there are more and more and more. They're the sisters. So if you could just tell us a little bit about how and why festival came about and how it's moved to where it is today. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, Sante, Sister Terry, appreciate what you asked. And if I understand correctly, again, the festival started as a school closing and fundraising program for Uhuru Sasa Shule Freedom Now School, which was the educational wing of the festival. And um, the East Cultural and Educational Center was a very powerful institution in our community. We were guided by, uh, again, Dr. Karenga's Kawaii cultural nationalism and the Nguzo Saba. The students learned about cultural nationalism, participated in the struggles of Black people. They attended marches, rallies, pickets, very active. And what you probably need to do, Sister Terry, is to
Yes,
interview some of the students from Uhuda Sasa and other independent Black schools. That would be a powerful program because these students have a different consciousness about the community and what needs to be done. And I am always impressed with their self esteem, self knowledge, and their commitment to our people. In fact, last Sunday we did a program on employment in the trades and civil service, and we had a few of our students that participated in that. And so, I've talked, off and on, we talk about some of the things they're doing. And so that would be a great program. So
okay.
the East,
And
uh,
I'm just can't, I have to interject just a little bit. Thank you for that because that is so critical. I know, including Brother Ruby's son, Osane, he's
yeah,
going on to do
hmm
great things. He was a student, his daughter, Mbalia,
and
great student there as well. And
yes,
then, like you said, the other institutions, I can't think of the name of the institution because I'm blanking, but at the festival, they were always in the green and gold, and they
mhm,
had a whole school and a place where they had a restaurant and everything. And one of their daughters and one of my extended family daughters who went to that school, and one of them teaches at Howard University, the other
mm,
one a mathematician, and they are doing like some online programming about Black education and being at these kinds of institutions. And another friend of my daughter that went to Howard University with her is the granddaughter of the people that started the Shrine of the Black Madonna. They still have their own community down south. So there are a lot of people, and I just had my birthday on Thursday, and she was here. And
happy birthday.
thank you. I'm
Belated.
celebrating for the month. But
Mhm.
the conversation was about young people going through these Black institutions and knowing all of their history and their culture. It's very, very critical, and that builds leaders. So
Yeah,
thank you for raising that. That's a whole nother show, whole nother
yeah.
conversation,
Well,
but it's an important one.
and
Thank you.
so yeah, so that's important because we talk about all these problems in education, and we were just pioneers, but we were committed to
Mhm.
the education of our people. We made some mistakes, but it was in love. You follow? And if we had that knowledge and we were able to do what we could do, we got models that we don't need to talk about the educational crisis the way we are. So
Right. Yes.
we're having these
I'm in agreement.
conversations.
I'm in
So
agreement. I'm
so
in
we
agreement.
have work to do, and but the work is the groundwork has been laid already. So Hudu Sasa was the school educational arm of the wing. We also had a daycare center. The students in the daycare, they came in, they might come in a month or two, 3 months after birth, and they were raised in the
Wow.
daycare.
Wow,
And by
wow.
the time they were 3, the students were reading, writing,
I
doing
love it.
math, doing a little Swahili, and
Okay.
they went into the school because our school took them at 3, well versed in academics. And so what we promoted and pushed and fused in the school was academic excellence and rigor with historical, cultural, and social understanding and knowledge. And
Mhm.
so when you talk to those students, you'll see what I'm talking about. And so
Yeah.
when I hear people talking about this and that going on in education, they it's not. it's, and I've worked in public schools too, where we've had excellent student production. I worked at Benjamin Banneker High School. We had like between 85, 95% Regents passing on all subjects.
Absolutely.
Let me give you an example. There was a year back in the 2000, early 2000s, I think, where the city threw out the science tests, many of the science tests, because so many students failed. See, when white students and people fail, it's something wrong with the system. When black people fail, it's something wrong with them.
Okay, I hear you. I hear you.
So
I
in
hear
that same year now, the physics test, we had a small population, but
you.
80, 90% of our students passed that physics test. If it was reversed and many of our students failed that test and many of the white students didn't, they wouldn't have thrown that test out. But
No,
because so many white kids failed that test, they threw many of the tests out that year. I don't remember the year exactly. And
right. No,
my
I hear you.
area is history, so I
I
don't
hear you.
remember. But our school and uh, the schools I've worked in, I can say for the most part, they've been productive in education. So our daycare, we had a daycare. We had a lot of community organizing we did, whether it was local, national, international. We organized around everything at Ahuru Sasa. I mean, at the East Cultural and Educational Center. I mean, whether it was education, or police brutality, we even organized and educated and met with elected officials around too much salt in the government cheese.
Wow.
Okay? We organized around that.
Well, it's there's so much because the International African Arts Festival is more than a festival. It's a movement. It, has history, it has legs, it has teeth, it has a
Hmm.
lot of things. And it's interesting, even as you said, you spoke with public officials, because public officials have to do with festival in certain ways as well. We know you have the Honorable Charles Barron coming out of Brooklyn, and
Yes.
others, I've seen Jamani Williams at the festival. I don't know if I've seen Mayor Adams there, but it's
Yeah,
all
he's
coming.
been there many
Yes,
times
yes, yes. So yes, it's
as
all
borough president.
right now, but it's all coming out of this swell of our people and the swell of our culture. It's very, very critical. I mean, I will never forget at Baba Jitu's funeral, Imam Baraka and his wife being there at the funeral, very active. And he was passing out little tickets or asking people to donate $5 to his son, Raz Baraka's campaign. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of that's a memory that I have in terms of how we come together and what we do, which brings me to our question. Um, well, one question that has to do with culture, because I know there's something a little bit different happening this year. You're not going to be able to do the symposium. I saw that in the press release. So if you
Uh-huh.
could just address that, and then just address, because I don't want to tarry or go too long, because we want to make sure so much information. We want people to be able to digest it. But
Hmm.
I want to speak about, how do you keep this festival going in terms of funding and monies and that kinds of things?
Uh-huh.
So that's
Okay. That's a very good question. But let me first finish up on the East here
okay. Thank
and
you.
say that um, the East was the Black Power group on the East Coast. You cannot talk about Black Power without talking about the East on a local nor national level. Uh, Let me just run some other institutions. We had newspaper and printing services. We had East Caterers. we had co-ops, we had summer day camps, we had martial arts and gun clubs, we had the Black Experience and Sound, our jazz series, we had concerts, we had land in Guyana, we had
You know
uh,
that.
forums on any major issue, and all the major leaders and speakers came to the East to speak. Okay,
And great performers.
yeah, and so the East was the Black Power group on the East Coast. And you mentioned Mary Baraka. He was a major force initially, but then he went into the Marxist philosophy and abandoned his Coweta cultural nationalism. And so that really left the East to shine and
Mm.
and project. But we had built so many institutions, that independent Black institutions that I named above, and not to mention we were active on all major national and international struggles. Okay, so uh, that could be discussed at another time. Uh, funding for the festival is our challenge. Okay, it's a big challenge for us because the festival has been self-reliant pretty much since its inception. In other words, most of our funds for the festival is internally generated. It comes from our vendors and our patrons, and that's very important. And that's why it's so important that people buy tickets, even if they're not coming. Buy a ticket and support us. Give us $10, give us $5. If you can, give us multiples of that. We going into our 55th year. We asking people to give us $1 for each year, or multiple of
Thank you.
dollars for
Thank
each
you.
year.
Very important.
Okay. And so the funding for festival, and this is why it's so unique, because nobody tells us how to do our funding and how to do our programming. We get some funds from the state and not the state, the state and the city, uh,
Okay.
but most of it is internally generated from our vendors and from our patrons. And that allows us to keep going each year. If you know anything about festivals uh, from the 70s, when Black people tore this country up, set 250 cities on fire, coming out of the rebellions of the 60s, they were pumping money in our community left and right. And then in the late 70s and 80s, all that money dried up. And so all those festivals we had going on, they're gone pretty much. But
Mm-hmm.
we still here because
And
they
you're
were
still here.
overly dependent on
And I say,
outside funding. And so we had this formula in place for almost 6 decades, and it still works. We're struggling now because coming out of COVID, we
mm-hmm.
were hit
Yeah.
hard with a lot of debt. We lost a lot of vendors. We have we had before COVID almost 300 vendors. Now we're under 200. So that has taken a big chunk out of our resources. And
Mm-hmm.
so we have to make major strategic cuts and try to weather the storm we're in right now. And so we've been able to do that. And we hope that the community understands this and supports us, because we got to step up. People have to step up, you know. They are, and another reason is I'm a volunteer, but we have dozens of volunteers that work with festival, and the people who we pay, Sister Terry, these
Uh-huh.
are highly skilled people that work with us. I mean, if you could interview some of our staff and some of our board members, you
I'm
would
making
be amazed at what they do and what they sacrifice to keep this festival going. I'm talking about highly professional people,
no,
whether
I'm
it's staff or it's board or it's volunteers. We couldn't pay them. So we say that the festival, I understand, and I have looked at this, and I know that the festival is a multi-million dollar operation functioning on a few $100,000 because of the talent that's given to us by our board, our staff, our volunteers,
there.
and even artists in many cases. who
No,
will cut their fees to play at festival. A festival is a good venue to have on your resume as an artist. Okay,
absolutely.
so it's a good experience to put on your resume, and a lot of
Absolutely.
artists know that.
We've seen Fela Renson Kuti at
Yeah,
festival. We've
yeah,
seen my classmate from Lincoln University, Gil Scott Heron at
uh-huh.
festival. We've
Yeah,
seen
yeah.
many
The
at
list is
festival.
long
List is long.
and strong,
And
long and strong.
you have the festival documentary as well that shares a bit about festival, I believe.
Yes, yes. There's
Yes.
uh, a new movie called the Sun. What is it? The Sun. I can't. I'm trying to think of it
It's
on.
okay, but we know it
But
exists.
it'll come to me. But anyway, it's about the East organization. It has a lot of good information, but it lacks a lot of the things I talked about
Yeah,
earlier
we
in
need more
terms of
telling our stories, and
yeah,
the part of why Harlem Network News is here, because we have to tell our stories. We have to get the news and information out. People have to be informed. And when you cut that, just like when you cut our cultural education, you've cut a lot, and we can't move forward. And we have to respect our institutions.
yeah,
Respect, and respect is support, and respect is also revering. Don't take it light. Like Baba Segun said, this is $1 million operation, or a billion, that's operating on a few $100,000. So we got to look at that. And a Harlem Network News, we're about that too. Respect, respect. We're
mhm,
a media organization. Respect. So continue, Baba Segun, because we were talking about the finances, and you kind of answered some of the questions, because I was like, is there state funding city culture and the division of cultural affairs, which I know we have a Brooklynite, Lori Combo, that's ahead of that. You know,
uh-huh.
um,
Yeah, she's a
yeah,
strong supporter of
okay,
festival.
okay, I'm
Very
happy.
strong supporter of
And
festival. So yes, those institutions, city, state, elected officials,
mhm,
uh, many of them support the festival. They out there. Many of them grew up in festival.
right,
Some of
absolutely.
them attended summer camps at the army, if not the school. So yeah, yeah,
So it's a reality. And I just feel blessed that these kinds of organizations like Festival or Dance Africa with Abdel Salam and Forces of Nature now, that these institutions continue, or African American Day Parade up here in Harlem. I mean, these Kwanzaa, with Dr. Karenga, it's important. We have built our institutions, and we need to support and hold on to it. Do you have, because it just kind of comes to mind, interactions with some of the HBCUs and communities, and support on that level? Because we gotta band it, and some of this cultural information is really, really critical to underpin the HBCUs for sure, in terms of college. And like you said, you're looking at folks who came out of your institutions, and you're seeing what they're doing. But it's very, very critical. And even as you mentioned, Benjamin Banneker, one of the sisters of the young woman that I was speaking about, the teachers at Howard, she went to Benjamin Banneker. She was a National Honor Society. She was in the National Guard. She's a psychologist, started her own business, but she got that base at a Black institution and went
yes,
on to Benjamin Banneker, and she's
yes.
so
So we don't have that uh, kind of relationship, but we have students and people that are interacting with Howard. One of our main people, you mentioned Ross Baraka, well, a good
yes,
friend of his, is
yes.
works with us in PR, is April
Mhm.
Silver.
All
And so
right,
she does, they were leaders in one of the rebellions and takeovers at Howard.
right,
So,
yeah. And
there,
it's
there's that link. There's
Mitty
that link.
Baraka. My daughter went to school at Howard with Mitty. So
Mm.
we gotta just keep it moving forward. But we're going to wind down, I think we've covered a lot. And a lot else once we start talking, there's so much knowledge, and knowledge is absolutely power. And I love what you were saying about our public schools and the institutions that need to underpin in our children, because they're so important. And I know you have a children's village going on at festival. I remember that well when it was at Boys and Girls High. My son was in a drumming group with Baba Kahende, and I remember they won
Okay.
the whole fest. So you have these festival
Baba
memories.
Kahende, yeah, the
Yes, yes.
strong drummer, dance
Oh
troupe.
yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah. In fact, his uh his wife did a Zoom around birthing with us a
Oh,
few
oh
years back. Yeah, we
yes.
did because we do programs throughout the year,
Okay,
and so
okay. I
yeah, we
think I
did something
remember.
on birthing.
Yeah,
That was a very powerful program. You
right,
know?
right. So much
Yeah,
has
yeah. So
continued.
there's a lot going on, a lot of good going on that we have to highlight, and we have to show that we can uh, control our community, serve ourselves, heal ourselves. And we say we have to be ourselves to free ourselves. We have to free ourselves to be ourselves. And
Okay,
so we have to engage in that struggle. We got to come into consciousness as a people, and we have to take on the struggles that help us build our internal capacity for self development and uh, self determination and self reliance.
okay. Well, thank you for that. I was going to ask you for the closing statement, but that pretty much is the closing statement. And I know that due to circumstances and everything, we're not having the symposium this year. That is also a
Yeah,
critical part of
yeah,
festival. And as we were taking, a little delay, us getting on here, as I was thinking about that, I know that I wanted anyway, and I will be reaching out to Dr. Karenga, but I, think it's even more important since we're going to have the symposiums delayed. And Dr. Karenga always has a great vision of much that's going on in the world. So I'm gonna
yes.
make sure that I try to get that done. And
Well, he's going to be talking about today.
ah,
If people can log into the US organization website, he will be talking today about the critical issues going on around us.
okay,
And if they go to the website, they can get more information on that. And that is uh, www.africanamericanculturecenter-la.org. Again, www.africanamericanculturecenter-la.org. And let me say that the symposium, we had to postpone it because we didn't get cooperation from the principal uh, at the school. We've been doing this symposium for 36 years, and we issued a press release, as you've seen, that
yes,
talked to the fact that, we struggled for these institutions uh, to be under community control. One of the main struggles was the struggle for community control. And in fact, the East was born out of that struggle. And
yes,
we said we
me
have
too.
to bring the schools to the community and the community to the schools. And so some people have gotten in there and they don't understand that history. And so we uh been using that school for probably 20 something years. And
Mhm.
now the principal that's in there giving us a hard time. All we want to do
Unacceptable.
is rent the school. We
Unac-
haven't had a problem.
Unacceptable, unacceptable. And that's where respect comes in. Respect comes in. And I'm just saying, respect our institutions, respect yourself. I was out there yesterday covering an event after National Action Network. One of the candidates was there, to be transparent. It was candidate Mandani. And I was the only Black media out there. And then it's kind of like one of our public officials was interviewed by like New York One or something. And I guess he was all, happy that that happened. And when I went to interview with him, initially he said no. And I pressed it. So he knew he had to turn around and interview with Harlem Network News, the only Black media out there. So we've got to really respect ourselves, and new people coming into institutions, they need to understand what time it is. We matter.
Yes,
So
teach.
that's my rant. But
Okay.
it's very real.
All
You
right, so again, people can go to the website for
know?
information, getting rapid entry tickets, et cetera. That's website again is www.iaafestival.org.
Okay, thank you for that. And festival begins on July 4th, 10 a.m. And it's family friendly, as Baba Segun said. And how many days is festival going to run? And about what time does it usually end in the evening? Just so folks know,
Uh-huh.
and tell us
Ag-
exactly where it is. Thank
Okay, again, uh, it runs from 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. The dates that will be in operation this year is 3 days. Normally we do 4 or 5, sometimes as many as 10 we've done.
you. Oh,
But this year it's going to be Friday, Saturday, Sunday, July 4th through 5th
okay.
and 6th. Uh, and that's at Commodore Barry Park,
So it'll be through the
also
city.
known as City Park
Okay.
in what you call the Brooklyn Navy Yard, right across the street
Very
from the Brooklyn Navy Yard. And
okay.
that's the streets are Flushing, Navy, North Elliott, and Park. Those are the surrounding streets for
Okay.
Commodore Barry Park.
Okay, so all eyes on the International African Arts Festival this weekend. Come on out, support, make sure you make your donation, your payment, make more if you can, because this is this is our institution, and we want to make sure that it continues. So the event goes from Friday through Monday, am I correct? Or
Yes. No.
through
3 days.
Through,
Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
okay.
4th, 5th, and 6th.
Okay, and they can get the tickets or register at your website,
Yeah.
correct?
If they can donate, get tickets. The event is free, but we
Mhm.
ask for a donation and
Okay.
we have rapid entry donations. So
Okay.
yeah. You
Okay,
know,
well, thank you for this robust conversation. I always love interviewing people because even if I know them or I've interviewed before, I always learn something, and I learned a lot today with you. And
thank you. Likewise.
thank you. We encourage everyone to support Black media. We are Harlem Network News. You can call us at 646-261-5397. You can make donations via Zelle, via Cash App, or just reach out to us at harlemnetworknews@gmail.com. We are revamping our website, but we are at harlemnetworknews.com. And we matter. You matter. And news, media, information, the message is the media. The media is the message. So let's go, and blessings, everyone. Thank you so much, Baba Shegun, for.
Thank you, Sister Terry. Appreciate you having me. Have a good day.
Okay,
And
you.
peace.
Thank you. Thank you. Blessings. Take care.